Hello, and welcome to Under 1000. My name's Thomas Flower, and each episode I'll read you a piece of super short fiction. All of the stories are 1000 words or less. Today, I'll be reading The Price. Hey, are you going to be in or around Glasgow on the 5th of December? I'm hosting a queer flash fiction open mic night at Categories Books from 7pm. Check out the Under 1000 Facebook page for more details, and come join us if you can. It should be a lot of fun. She wasn't sure what she had just bargained away. For what she'd gained, had she ultimately paid too much or too little? The box lay in front of her, its contents waiting to be discovered. For Joan was all that was printed on the otherwise inscrutable packaging. She ripped it open, hungrily eager to find out what she had just paid so dearly to have. Inside was nothing but an envelope. Could it really be worth what she had just promised away? She tore into it, now ravenous to reveal the contents of some actual worth. All it contained was a card with a single telephone number written on it. Was that all? Surely she must have purchased more than just a chat for herself. Still, now that she had it, she might as well put it to use. Pulling out her phone, she dialed quickly, not pausing to check for mistakes, and waited to hear a voice on the other end. 5 years on, Joan thought wistfully back to that strange and confusing night. It was then, of course, that everything had come together for her. A dream life, perfect job, perfect husband, perfect home in a perfect town. Who knew that one phone call could spark a chain of coincidences which could bring her to this heaven on earth? And yet she still had the debt yet to pay. The firstborn thing couldn't be real, though, could it? It was the stuff of fairy tales and legends. Surely promising away a child was just some sick, bizarre joke. All she'd received was a phone number, after all. It hardly seemed worth such a twisted price for something so small and simple. In any case, she decided that children were not for her. How would they collect a debt that she would never be able to fulfill? Better to remain blissfully childless and enjoy what she had than let that pain and suffering enter her life, even if it seemed like a wild and remote possibility. The doorbell rang loudly, breaking her out of her thoughts. She wasn't expecting anyone, but there was a delivery on its way for her. Maybe it had arrived earlier than planned. In her perfect life, it was hardly unusual. She opened the door, smiling widely, ready to thank profusely the worker who would no doubt be standing before her. Instead, she was met with it. The creature was strange, difficult to discern. It was shrouded in clothing, with only its head being partially visible underneath a dark brown hood. Although it stood, walked, and talked like everybody else, she couldn't tell whether it was human, and somehow doubted that it was. Most strangely of all, though, she realized that this thing had not aged at all since the fateful night when they had met 5 years previously. The creature strode purposefully into the house, slamming the door behind it as it went. 5 years are up. It is time to repay the debt, was all it said as it pushed gracelessly past her. She stammered for a second, struggling to compose herself in the face of such a shocking surprise. I don't have anything to pay you with, she blurted out after a moment. There is no firstborn. You cannot take anything away from me because I have nothing to give you. Very well, said the creature. Then this life will be foreclosed upon. Joan was confused. She couldn't understand what this could possibly mean. She shot questions at the creature in a rapid fire, demanding answers in as authoritative a voice as she could muster, but all the beast did was turn heel and walk out as briskly and confidently as it had entered. Only a week later and it was all gone. Joan understood now exactly what had been meant. First, the house had crumbled right beneath her. Contractors had blamed dodgy foundation work, but Joan realized that this was a sign of what was to come. Next was her job, which she was suddenly and mysteriously let go from, despite her many years of happy, loyal servitude. And finally, with no home or income to speak of, her husband ran out on her, scampering away like a rat jumping from a sinking ship. She had nothing and no one left. She had tumbled out of her heaven on earth even faster than it had been built around her. Despondently, she trudged around her tiny rented room, applying for jobs and hoping desperately that she would be able to recapture the life she had only just had. As she wrote her 7th cover letter of the day, the door swung open and the creature stood there once again. There was no knock this time, no warning to alert her of what was to come. "Your life is gone," it said, calmly, without compassion or malice, "but I can return it to you. All you have to do is pay the price." "I told you, I don't have any children. You can't take what I don't have, so there's no point asking me for it." "I can wait," the creature replied, as though expecting her response. "All I require is a firstborn. How you obtain it is irrelevant to me. Provide me with a child, one way or another, and I will return the life you once had to you." Joan considered her options. She couldn't face the thought of living the rest of her life in this dismal despair, not after she had seen how things could be. But how could she possibly pay a price that steep? She thought she had tricked her way out of the bargain once already. Now she saw that getting what she wanted would not be so easy. "So," the creature asked commandingly, "will you pay the price, Joan?" Silently she nodded, cursing herself as she did so. It was clear now that pacts like these were not so easily broken. Thank you for listening to Under 1000. I'm your host, Thomas Flower. To follow the show online, look for Under 1000 Pod on Twitter or Facebook. If you'd like to support the show on Patreon, go to patreon.com/under1000pod, where you can sign up to read each month's stories in advance, as well as to have a thank you be read during these credits. The theme music is an instrumental version of In Between Days by Nick Tate and the Sharks. To hear the full song and more from the same EP, go to Nick Tate, NICTATE, and thesharks.bandcamp.com, or search for them on your favourite streaming platform. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and that you'll join me again next time for some more super short fiction.